Welcome back. You're still watching the Afia Morning Show, and thank you for staying tuned. Right before the break, we're about to turn our attention to Icpc El-Rufai. We understand it all started at the airport, EFCC, then DSS said it was on standby, and now from DSS to Icpc. What's your take on the ongoing probe of El-Rufai, former governor of Kaduna State?
Which one? Because he's left APC. That's the only problem he has. If he had remained in APC, I'm sure this wouldn't happen. So it's just crazy. You're an APC, you're a clean politician, you leave APC, you get probed. Trust me, if the vice president leaves APC today, there will be a probe on him in less than 6 months.
He's been accused of fraud, amounting to billions of naira. That's a serious allegation.
Wike doesn't have any fraud. Why is he not being tried? Yes, tell me. Why is Wike not being tried? There are a whole lot of them. There are a whole bunch of them. When you're an APC and you're in good terms with the sitting government, your sins are forgiven. That's the depth of the corruption we have in our system.
The concern too is people have also said that during El-Rufai's tenure, some people that have come out to the press have also said that he wasn't, a saint during his tenure. That they also felt, his some negative impact from him. So does that mean, is this really a witch hunt, or is he getting?
He's getting a bit of he was enjoying dishing out such treatment to other people. Now it's time. It's good they feel this thing so that they learn. Mm-hmm. Those who haven't can exhibit all the arrogance Wike is exhibiting today. Someday, I'm sure, I can tell you for sure, that one day Wike will be on the other side.
And that will be quite explosive. But remember, he did make a serious allegation against the National Security Advisor on the importation of thallium sulfate. Mm-hmm. And somehow with all of the EFCC, DSS on standby, Icpc, we've turned our attention away from the thallium sulfate issue, which is what he accused the NSA of, right? So what's your take on that? I mean, have they come out to openly, properly show us evidence that they didn't?
NSA is still within the goodwill of the presidency and the government, so he's not going to be investigated. That matter is just going to be trashed. If he had to join ADC today or join PDP, they investigate him. So it's the same thing I'm talking about. It's a shameful thing, but unfortunately, that's what we're facing in this country. I'm not saying that El-Rufai did or didn't do anything. Obviously, he must have done something because they're all corrupt. Yeah. But he's being checked because he left APC. That's a way to tell others who plan to leave the risk of being on the other side. So that's why everybody's jumping the wall and coming into APC.
One of the things he's been alleged, charged with is tapping. As he stated that someone...
he said something doesn't mean he participated in it.
But that's one of the things that had to roll out, right? That, that they had a conversation, from the NSA's boss, New Ribadu, right? What does that say about our security architecture and our intelligence gathering in Nigeria that some other individuals can, tap into that crucial office? The NSA,
Boko Haram could as well be tapping in. Nobody knows. The problem is this. Anything with the way IT is today, anybody can hack or type into anything. So it's for you to constantly stay on guard. That's why I have the internet security thing being a very, very potent area to spend money on. But when you have corruption in the system, I'm sure there might be budget for those things, and they will use it for something else or steal it. Now it's affecting them. So because you have to constantly change your protection because people are constantly trying to see what algorithm, the pattern of things in your system, your configuration. So you have to constantly change it. Find a smart systems to protect yourself. So I'm sure they are not investing in those areas. You know what they do with their money when the budget comes.
Is it investing or brain drain? Because individuals who are even meant to be helping to coordinate those things and no more here.
I can assure you have up to 20 million Nigerians who can still protect them. How do you within Enugu here get people who are smart enough?
It's of a very huge concern that if you can tap an NSA's bosses' phone calls and conversation, what about the president?
So that's the point I'm making. You see, we have smart people here. I'll give you an example. When they're recruiting people into, just for example, NMPC. They're smart engineers coming out of first class across Nigerian universities. But when you're recruiting someone, you say you want someone, one person from Kano, one person from the National Federal Character Rubbish.
Yeah.
You find out that you start bringing people who don't know what they're doing. Just because they're from here or from there, they have to come in. So if they end up in charge of this kind of thing, what happens? That's what we're facing.
And that's the big question. So let's move on to matters ahead of 2027. The Electoral Act amendment was credible, inclusive. We saw the Senate President Godswill Akpabio making that clear yesterday, to the press. And, they are basically saying that this is reflective of the aspirations and yearnings of Nigerians. Whereas ADC, opposition party, is saying that they are vowing to mobilize and take action against it alongside CSOs as well. How do you feel about the now signed Electoral Act? Do you think it's going to give us the elections that we need? Does it reflect your aspirations?
No, it doesn't. In 2026, the conversations we're having, we shouldn't have been having them at home. How can a government, of a country like Nigeria be saying the reason why you won't deploy technology is because there's no coverage? The elections are next year. Between now and next year, you can deploy mobile cell sites to anywhere you want to, or deploy internet anywhere you want to in this country, and they will work. How long does it take to solve that problem? Why are we pushing it away? So they're not being sincere to themselves. They're just lying.
Individual consultants as yourself. Why are they having those conversations with you? Why are they, bent on?
Because they want to rig the election. That's why. When the places are not covered are places where they can go write up numbers. That's why they don't want those places covered. So it's an intentional act, just like the North has been refusing to educate its people. Now they're having bandits. That's a long-term effect, which they shut their eyes to today. They are facing it.
But President Tinubu has assented to it. So any conversation we're having now, the president has signed it.
That's it.
It's done and it's dusted. He's looked at all the facts before him and he's seen that this is what works.
The president probably is going to be a beneficiary of it as well. Yeah.
Probably.
Most of the time, when you want to get the best out of some presidents that have conscience, is when they've won their last election. That's when most of them do the right thing, those who want to do it. Because at this point, everything he's doing is to fall in line with, his re-election.
Godswill Akpabio, what do you think of his role in all of this?
Shameful. Shameful. He's been a rubber stamp Senate president. So history and this thing will judge him. He has have you seen him checkmate the executive on anything? Has he? For once. That's his role, to check the executive from excesses. Has he checkmate the executive on one occasion? He said there's been a romance between him and the executive. So, and they think his government moving forward, so brought about those principles of democracy are stupid. So he's a shame. I guess he was picked for that purpose by whoever put him out there, because I'm sure it's not the choice of Nigerians if they're asked to choose. So the moment we get it wrong from the foundation, when these men are not elected properly and they didn't win the votes and support of the people, and they know they can win an election without going to the people, then there's a problem. They don't rely on the people. Instead, they start, like now, they're all amassing wealth with which they will buy a vote. So they're stealing the monies for the security of the National Security Advisor. They're stealing all those monies, the one for roads, because they want to use it to buy votes in an election. They're not relying on vote, because if you go out there to vote, I tell you, 90% of the House will not come back.
That's right. So let's look at the new Nigerian, looking at our media colleagues in Benin Kebbi. The employees at NTA are decrying poor treatment. They're accusing their general manager of slashing funds meant for their outdoor broadcasts by half, that sometimes they only get perhaps 1,000 naira or 2,000 naira to go ahead and do their outdoor activities. Even citing an example of when one of their staff members slumped during a coverage of a fishing festival, and he was taken to some kind of chemist or so to, get medication for that without proper care or hospital treatment. What's your take on this welfare issue that has made the dailies? I mean, it's quite embarrassing, don't you think?
Yeah, these things are becoming a culture in our country. That's why you go to the ministries and, the buildings are dilapidated, the vehicles are dilapidated. Even the police. The police you see struggling and hustling to get fuel for their cars, and their cars are looking so rickety. There's budget for those things. The question is, where is that money going to? And why is somebody not asking a question about it? So that's why I say, like they say in Igbo land, It's coming in an accepted culture that the money brought in for welfare or for running of the ministry belongs to the head of the parastatal of the ministry. So they disburse as they will. They're not doing what they're supposed to do. So the person at NTA is doing the norm. He's not the first, I can assure you. If Icpc will focus on such things and leave, witch-hunting politicians, I'm sure they will do a better job. Why can't they go into things like that?
NTA is basically controlled by the federal government, more or less. So do you see this, revelation, albeit anonymous by the staff, yielding any kind of results? Do you think the federal government would take action against the general manager in that branch?
They only act on things when they think they've been embarrassed or it's beyond their ability to hide it. Because somebody putting that person there, there's always an interest. So it's just reflecting what is happening everywhere. I can assure you, if you check every ministry in Nigeria, you will see this same attitude. Because you go to those ministries, some of them I've been to some ministries in Abuja. The day we went to see Minister of, I think, Science and Tech, there was no light. Can you beat that? They were in the dark. It was all hot. So are you telling me there was no budget to bring in alternate energy when there is no public power? Somebody's pocketing the money. So this is something, even in Enugu here, I see the state secretariat, I go there and sometimes I'm just so disappointed how dirty it looks. So what stops them from getting a cleaning company and paying them to do it? So the monies are released, somebody's consuming the money. I remember when this government came into place, they went to audit that place, and what they saw on the generators and the power system was very shameful. I hope they're trying to change it.
So what's the problem with consequence management? Why can't action be taken against defaulters? I mean, what is so hard in sanctioning someone who has ridiculed you, who has made you appear as if you're not doing well, who has exposed you to public backlash? Why don't you slam the sledgehammer on such a person's head?
See, that's why you're seeing the kickback on buying this state and at Afia as well. When people start doing the right thing, those institutional criminals will start fighting them. Someone opened his mouth and said that Peter Obi is not doing anything. Some people have also said that Oti is not doing anything. And I wonder, are these people speaking from their ears or their mouth? How can anybody open his mouth and say these two guys are not doing anything? So these are people who want the norm to continue, monies to be shared. When a political appointment is given to someone, instead of going back to sit back, I remember one of my friends was appointed into a board once. We spent almost 2 weeks planning and strategizing how he will perform, how he will do certain things to achieve result. These people will go back and start celebrating with their people. What are you celebrating? A responsibility? So when these kind of celebrations happen, the person is now pressured to give something to his people. There are a lot of government office holders that in 2 years, 3 years, they've acquired properties and things. Nobody's investigating it. That comes to consequence management. You understand? So, but I guess sometimes the government has to face forward because, like Peter Obi said, if you leave your shop because someone stole something in your shop and is running, before you catch the thief and come back, the remaining things